Oh, they are playing now. They are playing now. So here we go. We have another Sicilian coming out between Eggplatnm and Lord English. Lord English taking the black pieces in this game one. He is the higher seed, so if it does go to a tiebreaker, he will get the white pieces in the second game. So keep that in mind. In the meantime, we have very nice simple opening play here for both players. White doing a good job. I'm a little interested about the queen play potentially. I also don't super like black's move to d5 or d6. I would have rather have seen e6 and then move to d5. White kinda interesting move there. A6 is going to be an interesting play, forcing that knight back and kind of just ruining White's attacking play here. Sorry about that, folks. Let me fix that. So here we go. Bishop comes down the board, attacking this queen immediately. So he's going to move the queen out of the way, and he does moves it to g3, getting it out of the way of that bishop. Now black might want to try to get some pressure on that queen. Might be a little difficult. He cannot do that, or else he will lose the bishop. Could have taken there, but again loses the bishop for it. He does play this a6 move that I mentioned earlier. He's going to have to drop this knight back, probably to c3, I think would be the best move, and he does. I kind of would like to see this, potentially. This would be an interesting move. H5, putting some pressure, or putting some support there so that you can go here. Although this kind of does block that now, so maybe not that. Knight d4, however, would be fine. Kind of getting some attacking onto this here. And he instead opts to bring the queen out to a5. So here we have a5, and this he brings knight to f3. So we now have all the knights into the game, and here White decides to castle after the quick pawn push there. So he brings the bishop out onto the short diagonal, looking to point right down here towards that bishop there on c1. We get a3 coming out. And now black pushing that pawn, going to push this bishop back. Oh, okay, that's a fine move. Now you're going to have to push the queen back here. Yeah, you're going to have to push the queen back. Okay, that works. I just realized that's a fine move too. You can take back there. Is okay. I would rather see the knight come up this way potentially instead. Man, this is already very quick, very interesting match. Eggplatnm has yet to take any of Lord English's pieces. He drops his bishop back, and now you take here, and that's... Yeah, this is cleanly winning for black now. I would say just take back there. You can also push a4. Yeah, you can't really do anything about this queen, unfortunately. You could have taken there. Instead opts to move his rook over onto the semi-open b file. This is still... These are the best moves. Take these bishops. That's the move. At the very least, if you're Lord English, you want to move this bishop here, because it's just hanging straight up. There's nothing defending it. right now. At the very least, get it out of the way. But I would suggest just to trade them off at this point. And he does so. Either rook here, taking this piece would be fine. Probably, I would say probably take it with. Okay, don't take it. Yeah, I don't know. That's. I guess he wants to. Yeah, you just trade there. Don't take it back. Do not take it back. You just blundered your queen. You just blundered your queen. There it is. Okay. Cleanly winning for black right now. This is kind of rough for Eggplatnm. Let's go over to him, see what he is potentially thinking right now.
He has a lot of material. It's no bueno.
You're correct. That is definitely no bueno indeed. So right now looking kind of rough for Eggplatnm. He needs to figure out what he's going to do in this situation to try to get out of it. I do like the rook move over to attack the queen. Queen moves over to c5, getting out of the way of that rook. I would like to see him stack the rooks here. I think, and put an attack here on the black king, I think would be his best shot right now. But Lord English, he has a lot of potential moves. Okay, he moves the pawn up, attacking this bishop, probably forcing it back. I would say probably the best square would be actually f5. You can just trade off the bishops potentially. That would be winning for black. Like, since black is up so much material, you can just trade off material. Yeah, it takes the rook. Yeah, that I don't like that trade particularly, but it's fine. Black is still solidly winning here. Having that queen. So a queen, a rook, a knight, and a bishop to 2 rooks is just solidly winning. Brings the queen all the way over. I would just take again. I mean, I guess his idea here would have been to do that. But yeah. Now I would probably take here with the rook. Force the queen away. He takes with the pawn instead. That's fine. This is just kind of rough for white. His king is now out in the open, and there's the queen check. I would actually block with the rook here, put pressure on that queen to just get out of there. And this queen f4 probably the best move. Put the king in check again. And now this is better for black, because now he can't just drop back he has to drop the king back. He can't block with the rook in this situation, at least not well. Decides to castle instead. You know, to move 24 castles, perfectly fine, I guess. Does get this rook into play. Idea probably to bring it over to this open c file. White starts pushing that d pawn, but not really too much you can do at this stage. I'd like to see him bring this rook over and attack this this pawn here on e7 potentially. But I mean, there's really not a lot you can do in this situation if you are white. Actually, he can just go ahead and take that right now. He instead decides to attack the queen. So the queen has this here. It's going to force the king back here. It actually forces it over to g2. And now, honestly, I wouldn't take there. The queen is still in a solid position. You can bring knight to e. That works too. This is just solidly winning. Doesn't need to be a little careful, but he does have escape squares here. Sorry, right here. From the rook, and the rook also can't go to this square because it is protected by the knight here on f6. Both players have been playing a fairly fast game. Lord English now hitting 5 minutes on the clock. Eggplatnm still over 7.5 minutes on the clock. So he's been playing fairly fast. Unfortunately, not exactly the most accurate moves in some cases. Forcing the king to the middle of the board. Eggplatnm, what do you do if you're him right now? God, I might consider just like sacking all of my pieces and trying to go for stalemate. Honestly, that might be his best move. KE2 is mate in 1, so don't do that. I would not do that. Queen to d2 is mate. And he does not miss that. Lord English takes game 1. And we should not be going anywhere. We should just get a quick rematch right away here. So these two players should be starting up a new match momentarily. Let me get... yes, they are. And let me get this board up for you guys and switched. And here we go. Lord English and Eggplatnm. There we go. And we are starting off with e5 from Lord English with the white pieces this time versus Eggplatnm with the black pieces. So Eggplatnm is going to have to win this game with the black pieces in order to force a tiebreaker. A loss or draw will see Lord English moving on in the tournament to face Ty Kevin 83 in semifinals. Eggplatnm deciding to play Alekine's defense, bringing the knight out to f6 to combat that pawn on on e4 rather. C3 with a knight, and then pushing his pawn out. Don't really like that too much, but it's kind of a very sharp position if he does accept this this gambit. Instead decides to move his bishop out. I'm not sure that was the best move. I think I might have instead played c6. It's fine. All right, and this is why. And now I would say do this potentially. I mean, you can take here. Actually, taking here is probably better. You go there, and then you take here. I think that's probably a safer trade in this situation for black. Either works, though. He instead elects to just put his pawn to attack the bishop instead. Don't like that so much. I think you needed to make the trades there. just because of how white's position is looking right now and how your position is looking. Bishop should probably drop back here to c4. He instead drops it back to d3, which is fine as well. But now I would say try to load up some pressure on this pawn. He goes with e6. I would have rather seen c6, but this is okay. Now bringing the queen out. I have a feeling that, well, he can't do this because now the pawn is pinned. The pawn is pinned to the king here. We could see the bishop coming out here, probably to b4 or to c5. He does bring it out to c5. He's going to look to castle here with here on the king's side so that he can break this pin with a pawn. Now, I would say probably if you're Lord English, you want to take this pawn here, try to undouble these pieces. Instead, yeah, I would castle here. Just castle. If he does take here, you're fine. Yeah, and now this this piece is unpinned, and now this is actually looking pretty okay for black. Oh, you just left it there. You forgot why you weren't attacking this piece, and now this piece is free to move. And you forgot about that. This piece is now free to move because the king has castled, unpinning the piece, and now the piece is free to move and take your bishop. Unfortunate misstep there from Lord English. Just hanging a bishop straight up. All right. So now Lord English down the bishop. He decides to bring out his knight, and immediately Eggplatnm responds by putting his rook onto this open e-file, pinning the queen to the king. Beautiful, beautiful move. I love it. I absolutely love it. This queen cannot move, and that's an okay play. I would say to take here with the bishop would be a good move, or you can go f4 and put some pressure on that bishop. If he does decide to move it, you can go and take. Oh, he's gonna try to make a little bit of an Alekine's gun. It looks like not exactly Alekine's gun because it's only gonna have one rook in it. But I think the idea is sound. I would say if you're white, you want to castle queenside here. Get your king out of the way. He decides to move kingside, which is also a fine move. But I think that the queenside one would have been a little better, getting this rook immediately onto this d file, pointing upwards, pushing that b pawn. Black is kind of losing tempo here a little bit with that. Kind of almost an empty move. It does protect this piece, but yeah, now you see here that now the bishop's got to make a decision, and I think bishop to just dropping it back, putting some pressure onto this pawn here would be fine. Instead, he drops it over here to b4, putting pressure instead onto this knight. If he doesn't do anything about it, I would think about potentially just pushing that pawn here. For white right now, I would say knight to e5, getting that. Yeah, and that's I would say just trade off right here. You can drop it back. You can drop it back to here, but I would say this is the piece. Ooh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. b4, and you've just trapped your bishop. Don't want to do that. Because pawn here, and now the bishop has nowhere to move, and that's exactly what happens. Eggplatnm missing that play. Now, what I would do here is I would just let that piece, just ignore that piece. Oh no, you can't do that. You got to attack another piece, not that piece. I guess he takes there. Is that his answer? You should still press F4. F4, like, that's the piece that you really want to push. You know, if he takes, you take back, you take there. I'm very confused by some of Eggplatnm's moves right now. He had tempo, he had everything going for him, and now he's kind of just thrown everything. He's thrown away his lead. This is now winning for white. Slightly winning, but still nonetheless winning. Just really unfortunate set of moves here from Eggplatnm, and now Lord English has tempo, and he's really got everything that he could want here. D6 putting pressure onto this rook would be a fine move. He instead moves the queen, which is also fine. I would say knight take on d5. You know, you could trade off there. That's what he does. Simplify the position a little bit. You know, being down just a pawn isn't too terrible right now, so trading isn't the worst thing in the world. At the very least, he really has to do something about it because of those two moves. And there it is, and now you take there with the pawn, and this is a little less clear. The computer has black winning ever so slightly. It's a 0.33 point advantage for black, and then we have bishop over to g5. f6 should be the move here, forcing that bishop away, because the bishop is putting pressure onto this rook, and you don't want to move this rook if you don't have to. So I would say just push f6. And yeah, and that's why you don't want to move the rook, is because that would open up the queen there. Yeah, that's a winning trade here for white. So white should take that. Oh, you got to trade. You have to trade. Black, you've been given an out. Actually, you don't even need to trade. Just get the rook out of the way. Get the rook out of the way, I say, and then you leave the rook there again. Let's go over to Eggplatnm and see what he's thinking right now.
Move that guy up one. Okay.
All right, so you saw there are a couple of moves, and now the queen is out here on d5 after that couple set of moves. Oh, rook take e7. You can't take back here because of the bishop, and you're putting immediate pressure on the queen. Queen should go to f8 here, because otherwise that would be mate, or very, very close to mate. It would just be mate in 2 if he does move the queen there. So Eggplatnm needs to be very careful. No, dude, that's mate. That's a forced mate. He takes the pawn, but the wrong piece. All right, bishop should go c6, put pressure on the queen here. And he does. Okay. Black gasping for air. Final breaths. I have a feeling that we might see the queens traded here, potentially. Instead, puts the rook right into the line of... Yeah. I like this move from Black. Take here. If he takes here, you know, he's up a rook in that exchange. That's a big swing there. I really like that decision to take there with the bishop. And now White's got to work a little harder. You know, he is up a full rook, but this isn't the end of the line for Black like it was, you know, a few moments ago. Brings the bishop down here to B2 or to A2, and now threatening this this line here with the rook. If I'm Black, bring the knight over. The knight is just really useless. That's fine. Putting pressure onto this bishop here. I get the feeling that we're going to see this move from Lord English, putting check on the king and forcing it to this f7 square. But it would probably be better for him to go knight g5 here to block off that potential escape square. Instead, decides to move his bishop and save it from the knight, moving it to c7. Now, keep in mind, Eggplatnm, he is up on the clock. Lord English down to 4 minutes. You know, if this game is drawn out long enough, we could see some shenanigans potentially. All right, bishop should just take here. Instead, drops the knight back. He's gonna try to push this, I have a feeling. Instead, he does go for that check that I mentioned earlier. Drops the king there. I have a feeling that we might see that. Or this. Actually, this is probably more likely. Okay. Yeah, that wins the knight. I would still take that. Put pressure on the rook, force him to take. But you don't want to let this piece promote. Absolutely not, under no circumstances. I mean, no matter what you do with this knight, it's dead. I really don't like that move. I really don't. And yeah, that's... He takes the wrong pawn. That pawn wasn't really doing anything down there. This pawn is threatening to promote. And now this rook is just going to start taking pieces. Eating the pawns. Oh, beautiful fork. Beautiful fork. And Eggplatnm in real trouble here. He's got to get one of his pawns down if he wants to have a chance of winning this game, or he could just flag, try to go for time here, where there's really just make quick moves is potentially Black's best position. Force White to be accurate in getting this endgame. There 3 minutes 42 on White's clock. if you're black, you just keep moving. Just make moves. I have a feeling that's going to happen. Really, it's just a matter of time at this point. I mean, white can even stalemate here. Because Lord English won game 1, he can get away with a stalemate and win this game. Yep, and this is probably going to be all she wrote. King e8 is his only move. And he's gonna march his king up the board to force mate here. And Lord English is gonna win this game. I mean, even if he does draw, it will be Lord English moving on in the bracket. So beautiful game, beautiful set of games here by Lord English. And we will be seeing him play Ty Kevin in the semifinals sometime next week. So congratulations to him. I again, actually, because black doesn't have any pieces left, even if Lord English did run out of time here, it would be a draw by insufficient material. There's no way that black would be able to win this game in any situation. So it would be at the very least a draw, even if he did run out of time. Bishop g5 is mate. And this he decides to draw it out a little bit. Perfectly fine. We could just get threefold repetition. It really doesn't matter at this point. So Ty Kevin, Lord English, we will be seeing them facing each other next week here on Meerkat Games. And it's KH7 is his only move, and rook to H8 is mate. And it's a draw by stalemate instead. And Lord English will be moving on in the tournament, as I have said, to face Ty Kevin sometime next week.